Buenos dias. Welcome to another daily devotion. I'm your host, El Padre. Today, we're going to be talking about Luke, and I'm not sitting at the desk, so I don't actually know what the passage is. But we're going to be talking about the narrow door. I know that. I can't remember I it's one of those days where you teach like over and over and over again, and so there's a bunch of different references. So here we go. Here's the narrow door. You can enter through the narrow door, and then here is our back door, and it is noticeably, it's much broader. Here we have my garage door, and you can, that's an even wider door. Look at that. If you come in through the wide doors, you're probably sneaking in. Yeah, and look at this garage door. It's even bigger. Oh, yeah. So welcome to the Daily Devotions again. Today we are actually in, let's see, it is Luke chapter 13, verses 22 through 35. And I'm going to just read the first section, and then we'll talk about it. He went through one town and village after another, teaching and making his way to Jerusalem. Lord, someone asked him, are only a few people going to be saved? He said to them, make every effort to enter through the narrow door, because I tell you, many will try to enter and won't be able to once the homeowner gets up and shuts the door. Then you will stand outside and knock on the door, saying, Lord, open up for us. And he will answer you, I don't know you, or where you're from. Then you will answer, we ate and drank in your presence, and you taught in our streets. But he will say, I tell you, I don't know you, or where you are from. Get away from me, all you evildoers, and there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth in that place when you see Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and all the prophets in the kingdom of God. But you yourselves will be thrown out. They will come from the east and west, from the north and south, and share the banquet in the kingdom of God. Note this, some who are last will be first, and some who are first will be last. So, with this little section here, he says, enter through the narrow door. And our narrow door is our front door. It's the door that guests, that the people who belong, that we've invited, they come through that door. Sometimes we allow people to come in through the garage, but most of the time, if somebody is coming through our back door, or they're going through the garage door. This is not somebody who we've invited to our home. And Jesus in this parable is saying that the homeowner is going to basically lock them out. He's going to intentionally close the door and lock it so that people cannot come in. And then he says that there's a banquet that's going to be prepared. So I have here some food. We got some home-style Bush's beans, tangy sauce with bacon and brown sugar. Yeah, we got some of that. We got, of course, the famous Reese's Puffs Bunnies edition. These are some of my kids' favorite. And then we have here as well Cheerios Oat Crunch cereal. I don't get any money or anything for doing this. I was just trying to find food that we could use at our table. And you see here, look, listen, at this table, because he knows you, he's going to have a place for you. And I think that this is important for each of us to recognize that at my table, there's a place for you, but there's also a place for those who are in the family, those who belong to the kingdom. And so with Jesus, the question that is asked is, are only a few people going to be saved? Now, keep in mind, when we think of saved, or when modern Christians think of the word saved, oftentimes we only mean in terms of eternity. These guys do not only mean that. They mean eternity, but they also mean now. Are you going to save us? Are you going to deliver us from Roman oppression? Are you going to establish this kingdom on earth, this physical kingdom? Like, are we going to be saved? Are only a few going to be saved? Are only a few of the Jews or only a few of the Israelis going to make it when this is done, when this is over? And so he said to them, they're asking one question, and Jesus is answering it, but he's answering it with so much more than they even understand. Make every effort. This is you have to be intentional. You're not going to arrive in the kingdom of God by happenstance. You have to make an effort. You're not going to just get to be grandfathered in, because you just happen to be from... this is something that they believed, wrongly, but they believed that because they were descendants of Abraham, that they had the rights to Abraham's promise. That they themselves did not have to walk in faith, or that they didn't have to do anything to earn it. It's kind of like people who believe that because they were born in the United States, or because they were born in Texas, that they're saved, that they're Christians. No, that's not true. Until you are born again, until you submit your life to Jesus, until you invite him into your life, submit yourself to him, however you want to say it. When we do the Bible in the wristband, right? I gave mine away, so that's why I don't have one on. But whenever we have that, like one of the things we talk about is somebody who, right, like that they are somebody who believes, but they are also somebody who confesses. Believing in your heart, but confessing with your mouth. Listen, it takes all of that to be saved. And so because of this, if you are saved, there's not much you have to do in order to be saved. Jesus does the work. But after that, in terms of our eternal salvation, he's saying, make every effort. That there has to be an intentionality. In other words, you have to intentionally submit your life to Jesus. You have to intentionally obey Jesus. You have to be intentional. You have to make every effort that you're not just going to like walk in. You're not going to come in my back door and think that that's okay. You're not going to just like wake up in my house. Like, no, like you have to make an effort to enter through the narrow door. It's not necessarily the door that's the most convenient. It's not necessarily the door that's the biggest or the widest, so that people with like all these different things, like you're not going to bring a camel through my front door. Like here's the thing, like it's a narrow door on purpose. Because I tell you, many will try to enter and won't be able once the homeowner gets up and shuts the door. Not everybody is going to be saved. Jesus' death on the cross provided so that everybody could be, but not everybody will be. That is important for us to recognize. Then you will stand outside and knock on the door saying, Lord, open up for us. He will answer for you. I don't know you or where you're from. In other words, I don't know you, but also where you're from is in terms of the relation, like the geographical place. Like because he's talking to an audience that believes that because they're from Israel or because they're descendants of Abraham, that like this makes them better than everyone else. And so like they don't actually have to serve Yahweh. They don't actually have to serve God, the one true God. What they have in their brains, their genetics is enough. Where they're from is enough. And that's not true. I don't know you or where you're from. And then they will say, but we ate and drank in your presence, and you taught in our streets, thinking to themselves that being around Jesus is the same as being known by him. Or it's the same as knowing him. Like, I know about you, but that doesn't mean that I know you, that I'm intimately acquainted with you. And he will say, I don't know you or where you're from. Get away from me, all you evil doers. He is telling us that the people that are trying to come in through the broad doors, the people that are not coming in the right way, that these people are evildoers, that they do not know God and God does not know him. They will be weeping and gnashing of teeth in that place. This is important for us to recognize. Jesus here is like, he's referring to hell. And so with that, he's saying that there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Where he also goes on to say then that when you see Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and all the prophets in the kingdom of God, but you yourselves thrown out. Like, think about it like this. You're looking in, I have, you can't see it, but I have a window right here. It's a double window. I can see the beautiful outside. And you can see from outside, you can see the party. You can see at the banquet, Abraham and Moses are like chugging Reese bunnies and Cheerios and bush beans, but you don't get to join the party. You don't get to be a part of what's going on. You're outside where there's weeping and gnashing of teeth, but inside where the banquet is happening, there's peace and there is love. And so he goes on to say this, the banquet in the kingdom of God. Note this, some who are last will be first, and some who are first will be last. This is a phrase, we've talked about this a lot this year, so hopefully we'll get it through our craniums. But with this, one of the ways that this can be interpreted, and I think is valid, is that some of those who are going to be last in terms of they got saved like 5 minutes before the party started, basically. They walked through the narrow door. They're the last through the door. But they're going to be first in terms of where they sit. They're going to be first in terms of where they get served. They're going to be first in terms of the way that they're seated next to Jesus. And then some of the other ways that you could look at it in terms of is just in terms of social class. Social status, financial status, like all of that stuff. That who's first, who's most important in the world's eyes, is actually going to be the least important in the kingdom of God. And so that concludes today's Devo. Luke chapter 13, verses 22 through 30 is what we talked about, but 22 through 35. If you haven't done so already, please go ahead and subscribe to our channel. We would love to see you here on a regular basis. Hopefully this reading plan has been a blessing to you. For those of you who have been here for a while. Also, if you want, you can check out, we have a few different resources that are available. You can check out, we have the Daily Devotions podcast. So if you go to really anywhere where you normally would listen to a podcast, we have the Redeeming Life Daily Devotions podcast, where the same thing but on video is also available on audio. So if you are like me and you don't want to pay for YouTube Premium, you can shut your phone off and just listen to the audio, or you can watch it as well. We also have the Fire Within podcast. You can check that out. We have the book that I wrote called Fire Within. That's available on Amazon. And we also have a new book. I have a new book coming out called A Letter to the Fatherless. It's coming out one chapter at a time on Kindle Vella. You can just use either the Kindle app, or you could use your browser to go to Amazon and then just search A Letter to the Fatherless by Jesse Eisenhower, and you are going to be well on your way. And that is actually free to read 3 chapters. So I highly recommend that. Thank you so much. On this Wednesday, some of you guys probably noticed we don't normally do a video like this. We normally do a live one. Our service this week is going to be on Good Friday. So thank you so much for those of you who are faithful. We'll see you tomorrow.